Good morning, beloved ones. Turn to someone and tell them, I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. Yes, I see you. If you could see what I see, that's why I love one of the benefits and the blessings of being here is that I get to look out and see all this magnificent display of God's beauty and God's handiwork in you and in your lives. I get to see the light of God shining back and reflecting to me that high and good purpose for our being here. So I'm always grateful when I have the opportunity. I feel blessed when I have the opportunity to be here and to stand here and to do this work. Yes, sometimes it gets a little much, and sometimes my spirit gets a little weary, but the scripture says, do not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap, right? So I'm always glad when I have an opportunity to be here because when I have to write a talk, I have to look at myself, the lessons really are for me. By the way, you're just here listening. But, I get to engage at a deeper level and to reflect and to experience the divine as I am attempting to allow myself to be a clear channel and a vessel. And it's such a blessing for me. It's finally, I believe, transforming me. So I know you might be thinking at this point, not another talk about transformation. But I say, why not? Why not? Because, because after all, we are still trying, most of us, to change some aspect of our lives. We're looking to be different on some level. We're looking to somehow be better, new and improved, change the better me. But as I began to think about that, I thought, but what if in the midst of all this seeking to be transformed and to be changed, that we're really trying to run away from ourselves? What if we're trying to get away from all of those things that we don't particularly like about ourselves? And, we want things to change without our having to change, right? We want things to change without our having to change. And what if we're really ignoring or denying or repressing certain things and qualities and aspects that are within us that need to be transformed? You see, the truth about transformation is this, is that you cannot change what you are unaware of. You cannot change what you are unaware of. And this is the thing. You'll never really feel whole and complete within yourself if you are hiding certain aspects of yourself. You'll want to be changed, you'll want to be different, but certain things you don't want to face, you don't want to look at, you don't want to acknowledge, you don't want to own, you don't want to have it as a part of your being, but yet you want to feel whole and complete. And so we are hiding aspects, sort of like Adam and Eve. This is the scripture that came to me this morning. And I said, well, what scripture would be good for this message this morning? And it didn't give me the scripture until like 8 o'clock this morning. And I was telling my mother, sometimes I have to go with the Spirit's timing. But I thought, oh, what a wonderful scripture. And it's this. We're all familiar with it. It's found in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 10. And I'm reading from the Message. It says, the serpent was clever, more clever than any wild animal God had made. He spoke to the woman, do I understand that God told you not to eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, not at all. We can eat from the trees in the garden. It's only about the tree in the middle of the garden that God said, don't eat from it. Don't even touch it, or you'll die. The serpent told the woman, you won't die. God knows that the moment you eat from that tree, you'll see what's really going on. You'll be just like God, knowing everything, ranging all the way from good to evil. When the woman saw that the tree looked like good eating and realized what she would get out of it, she'd know everything, she took and ate the fruit and then gave some to her husband, and he ate. Immediately, the two of them did see what was really going on, saw themselves naked. They sewed fig leaves together as a makeshift clothes for themselves. When they heard the sound of God strolling in the garden in the evening breeze, the man and his wife hid in the trees of the garden, hid from God. God called to the man, where are you? And he said, I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid. And then he asked, of course, who told you you were naked? Now, this is such a powerful scripture because I believe that we are still hiding from ourselves, that we are still hiding from others, and we are even hiding from God. Hiding because somehow or another we feel that we are naked, not clothed, right? And this is such a powerful scripture because when we cover up, we've been covering up for so long of our real selves, with covering up all of our human frailties, all of our flaws. See, some people say that the original sin was that they disobeyed God and ate from that tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The original sin was all about disobedience. And I think that part of this original sin is not about disobedience. It's about the first time we decided to hide from God, to hide from our true selves, to hide from one another. It was the first time that we decided we were going to cover up everything. See, sometimes we say that the body is the clothing that the soul wears. But we put on other things that clothe and hide our own souls from us, our own humanness as well as our divinity. And so to me, we've lost so much because we've been in hiding. We've been afraid of our nakedness. We've been afraid to allow others to see us as we truly are. I'm not talking about just the physical aspects, although now you get a certain age, you're afraid of that too, but I'm talking about really seeing me, seeing my heart, seeing my fears, seeing the warts and seeing my insecurities and all of these things. And so I clothe myself with my mask, and I present to you who I think you should see, who I want you to see. Not who I am, but who I want you to see. And so we get lost in this journey and in this process because there are always things about ourselves that we are indeed unaware of, or things that we keep hidden from ourselves. Because to actually see it or to acknowledge it may be just too much. It feels like it's too much for us. And yet these are the very things that actually keep us from transformation. These are the very things that keep us from our true and authentic selves, our highest self, our best self, our spiritual self, as well as our human self. You can't change what you are unaware of. And so this is the past, this is the point that we must say, well, what is it that I need to see about myself? The pattern is this. things will happen to us. So they'll happen to us over and over, or we'll keep having the same responses or reactions to things, or we'll notice that maybe we have the same lessons. I thought I learned it. Here it is again. We have the same lessons over and over. And these things are happening in this manner, all so that we will begin to take notice, so that we will begin to become aware of the lesson, aware of what is being presented to us, what is coming to us, so that we will begin to realize and see the patterns and to actually get the lesson that this experience is trying to bring, so that perhaps the next time, even if you just get a little bit of the lesson, sometimes we don't get it all, but even if you can glean just a little bit of the lesson, the next time you might be able to apply it to that situation. You might be able to have it impact your life so that you are changed, or the way you approach your life is changed, or the way you approach that situation is now different or changed. Awareness is key. So here's the kicker. Sometimes, in order to bring out your best self, you have to be able to see your worst self, your nakedness, your vulnerabilities, right? Because if you're only seeing what you think is the best of you, and yet these other parts are hidden, how shall you grow? How shall you change? How shall you heal? Right? And so, if we want to do this, because all those things that remain hidden from us, continue to plague us. They will continue to plague us, and they will delay our transformation by unconsciously and subconsciously playing itself out in our lives so that we can see it. And the more you ignore it, the bigger it gets, the louder. It's like the universe is like, maybe she'll see this sign over here. So this is the thing. There's a saying, the old saying that says, wherever you go, there you are, right? Whatever you're doing, there you are. It's you doing it. Whatever's before you, it's your experience. You are the common denominator throughout everything. And so it behooves us to begin to look at self, bringing all of self, the good, the bad, the not so good. I don't want to call it the bad, the good and the not so good, and the ugly. But who wants to look at the ugly? Anybody here really enjoy looking at the ugly? No, nobody wants to look at the ugly, not only in ourselves, but in life. Because if it was all possible, we try to escape, if we can, pain, suffering, heartbreak, disappointment. We want to avoid being and feeling uncomfortable and all of those kinds of things. But the tendency, friends, to avoid pain, which is really not possible, although we try to do it, but the tendency to avoid pain and to seek pleasure only often keeps us from being able to embrace not only all of life, but of ourselves as well. It really doesn't allow us to heal or to even be transformed because we remain in the dark, unconscious, unaware. And what I've discovered is that life is full. And when I got the message about, Van's passing and the way in which he passed, it just touched me. And I was like, gosh, how come life has this underbelly of negativity? And why is it, so I'm a good truth student, but every now and then I fall back into that, why God? Why God, why? And I can find myself getting a little bit down about maybe even when the elections didn't go the way I wanted them to go. Why God, why? Somebody else was happy, that's fine, right? Or when I think, oh my goodness, look at what people are doing in the world, the barbarian nature that we can demonstrate. Why, God, why? Why is this element possible? And I've learned a lot because as I begin to grow and mature spiritually, I'm finding I'm better able to handle my why questions, to handle the heartbreak and the disappointment and the tragedies and, why are people hungry and all of these things when I think should not be. But I'm able to somehow now see it and recognize it as a part of the divine unfolding and of life itself, with the fullness, the ups and the downs. And I may not see the purpose, but I've come to be able to trust that there is a divine order. There is even though I think, well, why would a soul choose to do this or that way or whatever, I'm less now judgmental of these things. See, when you want to escape all of these things, to escape the unwanted aspects of life itself or our own personal lives, that desire to escape and to run away and to get away from it can actually lead us to a host of maladies and addictions, right? And other psychological, because people who have lots of addictions going on, they're trying to get away from something themselves, some aspect they don't want to see. So I think I'll medicate myself. Right? All of these things, when we're not able to embrace the fullness of life, we'll not only perhaps experience some of the maladies of life, but we may simply just feel empty or disconnected or unfulfilled. If we are not able to remember that through it all, through this divine design, that God still is, and that there is an order, and that the order is good, and it is unfolding. It is, moving us into a higher state of awareness and expression. And that all of these other things, as we look at them and see them and acknowledge them, as we share light and shed our light upon it, it helps it to dissipate. And it may not dissipate according to how we would like, but it does indeed bring that darkness into the light so that transformation can really begin to happen on this planet. It's a process. And we're all in the middle of this process. And so as I think about this, I recognize that I want to bring and be my authentic self. And in order for me to do that, I have to be present to life and to my life, right? I have to be fully present to what is taking place. Because if I want to shield myself and say, no, it is what it is. And if I can learn to be present to what is taking place, then all of a sudden, present to my thoughts, present to my feelings, present to my perceptions and my fears and my scars and my reactions and my conscious and unconscious beliefs and, all the stuff that goes on within me, my triggers, as well as my joys and my exaltations and my, gratitude and my connectedness and my sense of love for the divine, to be aware of all of that, to see it all and to acknowledge it, to be fully present, to bring my presence to whatever is present. So if you're angry, be present to your anger. See it so that it doesn't escalate or run amok, because unconscious anger is what is dangerous. See? It's that unconscious stuff that causes us to act and we have no awareness of it. If you're perhaps grieving, I talked to someone yesterday and they had lost a family member and they were grieving and I could feel their pain, and it was almost as if they were embarrassed to feel that sense of grief in front of, with me, and I said, grieve. Feel what you feel, because sometimes as truth students, we think we're not supposed, I should be able to get over it. No, this was your loved one. Grieve. Because if you're not present to the grief, it will then linger because it is unacknowledged and unfelt. Then it will play itself out in other ways. If you're fearful, be present to your fears. so that they don't create shadows and cast shadows upon your life, so that you don't grow and things loom ahead. It's the shadows that loom large. See, your presence, your conscious awareness guarantees that you won't be sleepwalking through life, or that you won't be on automatic pilot, which means that you won't be, just doing things and saying the same things and not even thinking, not even feeling, not even hearing, no longer in touch because you're just on automatic. So here's the key that we could have. When you are willing to be fully present, that is aware and awake to what is, whatever is, you can then begin to heal and transform and change it. You can't change it if you're not present to it, right? And when you begin to become present to it, you'll see it more fully. And the more you're able to see it, then the more you're going to be able to heal by being present. And the more space you're going to create within your being for the presence. Now, when I say the presence, I'm talking about God. The more you are present to your life and your situations and your circumstances, and you are bringing your presence to it, your attention, your openness, your willingness to embrace it, the more then you create space for the presence of God to begin to work, of God to begin to come forth and to come through you. See, so this is what we want. We want God. A lot of times the presence of God is here, but it doesn't come through because we are blocked by our own hiding. So when we're present, that light begins to shine. The truth is able to come forth. That light that is in you begins to yield understanding. It can yield insights and revelations and awareness that you might not have had beforehand. It can yield directions and solutions, and maybe just your ability to accept what is. Not trying to change it. I can't ask why this happened. I can only say, Lord, bless this situation. Bless Van's ongoing. Because if I could figure out why would that happen, then I would really be onto something. The only thing that I have is my trust and faith that God is always working for a higher purpose, even if I am not understanding of that purpose in the moment. And as you begin to just revel in this light that is God, and you allow it to come through you and to touch you, then all of a sudden you become clearer and clearer. You become a clear vessel. You become a clear channel, and for the good, for God. And now God is able to use you to work through you to transform and heal situations. We say every Sunday, use me. Are you serious? Use me. But you have to be a vessel, right? Use me, clear. So once you stop running away from or denying or trying to cover up or to escape or whatever, this underbelly of life or your own life, and you begin to see it all as a part of life, to count it all, and you can begin to see it in the light of truth without judgment. See, the thing, that you're seeing from a limited perspective when you want to judge it, right? When you just see what it is and you bless it, you know now that you're moving in a higher realm. To be able to bless it all, to direct light towards that situation. This is the blessings that we have as children of God. This is what we can do. You see, we begin to let more light in, and we get less caught up in the small details. I have to know that everything is working together for the highest good of all concerned on this planet. I believe that we are all evolving into a higher order of life, although it may look and feel chaotic and out of control and bad. And I could get caught up in that, you know what I mean? Well, didn't this happen? But I don't want to go there. I have to trust, I have faith that God is working it all out. So seeing is the first step. Overcoming, letting God move in and through your being. I went to seeing yourself and really being comfortable in your own skin. I went to an affair last week, and it was at the home of a well-known individual, and it was going to be an intimate setting. It was a fundraiser. And so I was a little kind of nervous about going there because I knew that there were going to be people there who I considered to be well accomplished and, bright and knowledgeable and all of these things. And I think I've shared this with you, this aspect about myself with you before. That sometimes when I'm in the presence of people like that, I seem to shut down. I shut down and I withdraw into myself. Instead of confidently letting my light shine, instead of confidently expressing myself fully and freely, I begin to feel awkward. I feel awkward with chit-chat, and I'm like, oh, what can I say? And because that's not my thing, and I don't really know them. When you go into a room, you got to chit-chat. And I'm thinking, oh, what do I say? And what if I say the wrong thing? And these people are so much brighter and capable and all this stuff. And so what I look like, I try to find a corner to retreat into, right? And all of a sudden, I generally don't enjoy myself because I'm not being myself. And this happens to me, on several occasions. And the Lord keeps putting me in these situations. And I keep saying, why do you keep putting me in these places when I'd rather just kind of, do my work over here? But yet I know my prayer is that I want unity of Washington, D.C. Who we are as a people and a church to be out there for the world to see. And if that is the case, then I, as a representative of unity of Washington, D.C., must be out there. Right? Fully and freely. So even though it's not comfortable for me, I know that it is a part of my growing edge. And we all have our growing edges. The Spirit is always calling all of us to step up a little higher, step out a little deeper, let me use you a little more, do something that's a little greater than you've ever done before, because you are more, you can be more, but you must move into that. And so instead of just ignoring it, because usually when I come home, I feel bad about that because I wasn't who I wanted to be myself. I didn't let my light shine. I didn't offer the best and the brightest of me. And so I said, you know what? I want to be transformed from the situation, so I can't just let it pass by. I want to look at, what is this? Why is this coming? And so sometimes I have to so the question is, I need to make time to get to know myself. If I want to be transformed, I must know what is going on. And so I decided, I will journal about it. I will pray and meditate. I will ask the Spirit to reveal to me what is my lesson. What is it for me to learn? Where is my growing edge? What is the overcoming that I need? And then I'm going to ask for the grace and the strength and the ability and the empowerment to do it. That's how it works. I don't want to put it aside. I want to move through it. The point is that I must see it in order for it to take place. I don't want to hide in the corner. Sometimes we get so busy that we forget who we are. We forget who God is. We miss the call. Scripture says, what does it profit a man or a woman to gain the whole world but lose his or her soul? We get lost. This is about our soul's development and growth. So I'm asking you to make a commitment to be present to your own life, to be present so that the presence of God can move through you, can live through you, can have its being in and through and as you. See what needs to be transformed. See what needs to be healed. See the lessons that are being revealed to you and that are presenting themselves, and be present to it. Take time to notice your patterns, your issues. Take time to inquire within, asking, meditating, praying. Take time to shed the light of truth. For Jesus did say, you shall know the truth. What? And the truth shall set you free. So I say it's time for us to get to the naked truth. Let's get naked and see to be free. Blessings. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Namaste. Blessings.